comfort in the chaos, if that makes any sense to anybody. I always wanted to do something wrong. And I'm sure there's a lot of people here that can relate to that. So I always wanted to do something wrong. Like my parents couldn't get a hold of me. I was getting suspended from school. I was fighting. I was stealing. Not coming home. In like 8th grade, I remember waking up in the middle of the night with 2 United States transporters standing over me, with my mom, and my stepmom in the same room, which didn't usually happen, right, Mom? My dad was there, and these 2 big guys are standing over me, and they're like, we're here to take you to a new school. And I'm like, all right, in my head, change of scenery, different girls, fresh start. I mean, that's what went through my head. And when I went with these guys, they ended up like handcuffing me through the airport. And I'm like, why am I being handcuffed to go to school? It's a little weird. And so after we got out of the airport and we're in the vehicle and they're taking me to school, like a couple minutes before we arrived at this school, they hand me 2 letters. One was from my mom, one was from my dad. And they were like goodbye letters. And it was like freaking me out, like am I about to die? And my dad's read, you might not understand the stipulations of boot camp yet, but you will. So I'm like, well, this is weird because it was supposed to be a school. And we pull in and they got the sand pit there and the drill sergeants come to the car and I step out of the vehicle because I think that's what I'm supposed to do, and they slam me on my face and tell me we didn't tell you to step out of the vehicle. So that was like the start to 11 months I was there. This place actually had absolutely nothing to do with education. So I was in for a surprise. So with that being said, it was all about discipline. You know, like for the first like 4 or 5 months, I was just beat up. You know, not that, you know, my parents didn't know like that's what was going on there, and I didn't get a phone call for 7 months. I didn't get a visit for 9 months, and like I'm the type of addict, I'm the type of person that if you scream in my face and tell me to do something, I'm going to do the exact opposite of whatever you tell me to do. You know, and I'm sure there's people in this room that can relate to that as well. That's just how I am. You know, and I think a lot of addicts and alcoholics are that way too. That's not how you fix me. It taught me some things like make your bed when you get up, don't cuss at your family, don't put your hands on your family, because I was doing that too. You know, I remember a night I shoved my mom. That's insane. You know, the anger issues that I had, and you know, it was long before the drugs that I had issues. And you know, I would just do bizarre things. You know, I would steal from my family. It's like, I swear that if somebody else stole from my family, I would track them down and I would make them pay for it. But God forbid me steal from my family, that's okay, right? Doesn't make any sense. And you know, when I got out of this boot camp, I thought I was like Superman. You know, like I completed a boot camp, I can do whatever I want. My dad thinks that I'm like the man because I like completed this place. And you know, I tried going back to public school for a little bit. And again, like I can come up with every excuse in the world, and I can convince you to think anything that I want you to. You know, if I want something from you, trust me, I'll make you give it to me with my words. Because us as addicts, we're manipulative. You know, they say we're really good salespeople. So if you're in this room and you're an addict, you've ever manipulated somebody, check out the sales jobs they got out there. They're pretty good at it. And I'm telling you, man, I can sell you that, like, my toenail or something. That's just how it was. You know, but when I got out of this boot camp, I came up with a reason as to why I didn't need to be in public school. And, you know, I'm around too many people, and I just can't do the schoolwork. And Dad, you should just hire a tutor, and he should sit with me and do my schoolwork with me. So my dad did it. And, you know, I used to sit down with this tutor like 3 or 4 times a week. He would sit down with me, and he would take the test. You know, like I really didn't take the test. He would sit with me, and, you know, he would bring up the questions on the screen there, and he would say, is it A, B, C, or D? And I'd be like, it's A. And he's like, no, man, it's D. And he would like press the right one for me. So like, I did 4 years of high school in 9 months. So I got a high school diploma in the mail, and that was kind of like a part that made me realize that I was like different from all the kids in school. You know, I didn't get to like walk across the stage at the Minor Stadium with my parents blowing an air horn in the background, like, yay, good for Bobby. You know, like, that wasn't me. It's not my story. So that kind of made me feel different. Like I was different from the other kids. But it was because I put myself in that situation. And when I got the high school diploma, I thought my life was complete. You I could do whatever I wanted, man. Like, I could work at a Little Caesars, I say it all the time, and like, Little Caesars is a huge part of my story. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I could work at a Little Caesars, and like, as soon as I got the diploma, I started hitting tour. I was traveling the country, going to music festivals, being a rave kid, following what was left of the Grateful Dead, like Phil Lesh and Bob Weir, and a lot of these older people in here are probably like, you don't know nothing about the Grateful Dead. Oh, thanks. That's what I did. And, I started associating myself with people that like to call themselves the Grateful Dead family. Because they're all about the love and the respect, man. And no, it's a drug cult. That's what it was for me. And that's what I got involved in, man. And I thought that, like, that was the reason I was put on this earth, That I was just supposed to be a dirty hippie, which there's nothing wrong with being a dirty hippie. I think I offended somebody by saying that one time. Which is nothing wrong with being a dirty hippie, but I was just a dirty hippie selling drugs. Going from one show to the next show, and then whenever it would get cold, I would come back to Southern Illinois and move in with my ex-girlfriend, because all of a sudden when I was done on tour, I needed a place to stay, and if I told her I loved her, she would let me stay there. And like, I did that. And I remember the first time that I came back from tour, I started working at the Little Caesars again, and I remember the first time somebody gave me a Vicodin. And if you don't know what a Vicodin is, it's an opiate, it's a painkiller. I felt like I'd met God. And at that point, I'd never taken an opiate. I got that feeling inside that like nothing could stop me. I had no negative emotion like I was talking about earlier. I was performing well at work. I ended up getting that assistant manager position that I just couldn't wait to get at Little Caesars. And my life was good. Like I said, I was like socially acceptable. Like I could do anything when I had these pills. And the Vicodins went from Vicodins to Percocets to morphines to doing other things and finding ways and means to get more that we talk about in Narcotics Anonymous. And it's like, I literally could not live without these. I remember the first day that I didn't have a pill. And like Chris said, like, I was physically ill. Like I didn't want to get up out of bed. I didn't want to like go to work that day. Like I was like at work, but I did make it, and I was just like so slow paced, and all I could think about is, man, how am I going to get something else? I'm out of money. Who can I screw over? Who can I borrow money from? Like, what am I going to do? That's the only thing I would go through my head all day until I got that pill. And the minute I got that pill, I was good. Everything was fine. And it wasn't even to like get high anymore. It was to feel normal. Just to feel normal. And it became an issue. I ended up like losing the job. And because I didn't have these, because I was spending all my money on them, and I had screwed over everybody and borrowed money from every single person that I possibly could. And nobody wanted to give me money anymore. Nobody wanted me around them because I wasn't to be trusted. And I owed everybody and their mother money. I probably still do now, but we'll get to that. But it just got to a point to like my best friend and I had came to the realization that we had a problem. My best friend since diapers. We had hit tour together. My homie, man. I mean, raise your hand in here if you have a best friend. All right, so you know what I'm talking about, like that connection that you have with that person. And anytime I had a horrible idea and I would tell him about it, he'd be like, yeah, it's a great idea, man. Like that person that would always push me to do the wrong thing. But like, we were homies, And I would do anything for him, he would do anything for me. Right or wrong, we would do it. And we decided that it was Southern Illinois that was the problem. So we just got out of Southern Illinois, then everything would be fine, man. It's people, places, and things. And I hear that all the time, that if you just change people, places, and things, then it'll be fine. So we decided to move up north, up by Bushnell, Illinois. In Bushnell. Most people probably don't know where that's at. Because the population of the town is like 500 people. And it's dead in the middle of a cornfield, and we're going to stay clean there because, like, I'm sure everybody's used this, because we don't know anyone there, We're going to stay clean. And when I tell you that, like, you can put me in the Sahara Desert, and I will find a way to get high. If that obsession is there, I will. I found more drugs in this tiny town of 500 people because I was looking that much harder because my obsession was, like, much greater. I had to get something. Couldn't maintain the job that I had up there. We get kicked out of where we're staying up there. We've gotten kicked out of 3 different places in Southern Illinois. None of these people even know each other, but it's all their fault. They want to see us fail. They don't like us. They just want the money from us. Like, none of these people know each other. We keep getting kicked out of here. Well, maybe I'm the problem. you know? And I still didn't want to see that. So we decided that we had nowhere to stay up there. So we moved back down here to Southern Illinois, because clearly it wasn't people, places, and things that was the problem. And we moved back down here and moved back into his grandparents' house, like not even my grandparents' house, his grandparents' house. And I was in and out with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I remember on July 4th of 2014, I went out to his grandparents' house to get a pair of clothes, because I was like staying at my ex's, again, because I told her I loved her again, and she let me come back. And on July 4th of 2014, a police officer came to the door while I was out there and asked if Aaron Embry lived there, and I said yes, and he said that he had passed away due to a heroin overdose. And that best friend that you all said that you had, like, just imagine that person being gone. You know, like, I didn't know what to do. And at that point, like, I was still in active addiction. Still in active addiction. Active addiction. I'm getting tired. You know, I didn't know what to do. So all these negative emotions, I had no idea what to do with them. I didn't have any tools, because I didn't want to listen to anybody. I had multiple people try to take me in church, but I didn't want it. You know, like, I did not want it. After he passed away, like, I just went through like days of just being suicidal, depressed, not wanting to live, like, but not, you know, actually having the courage to like off myself, and just asking God to please not let me wake up. You know, like, he died from shooting heroin. So what did I go start from? Shooting heroin, man. That's insane. And everybody used to say, man, wasn't that enough to change your life? Your best friend just died. No, man, it wasn't. And it wasn't that just somebody telling me, you know, somebody dying in front of me was not enough to make me stop. I needed something spiritual in my life, you know, and I just wasn't willing to do that. I had accepted the fact after he passed away that I was going to die from drugs. You know, I had accepted the fact that I was probably going to die with a needle in my arm. And excuse me for being, you know, saying that, but like, that's really like the graphic, like that's what went through my head. You know, I had accepted it. And by God, like I said, I asked God every day to not let me wake up. And I can't stay at my mom's house anymore, because again, I'm not to be trusted. My dad had disowned me. Still haven't talked to my dad to this day, going on 4 years now. And you know what? Like, I've accepted that. You know, I've accepted that, like, I can't change my past. All I can do is continue to be a better person today. And I say that, and I don't say that, you know, so everybody goes, oh, Nick's dad must be a butthead. You know, like, I don't say that for that. I say it because, like, if there's anybody out there that doesn't have a repaired relationship in their life, just know that, like, you have to continue to, like, not make those same mistakes that ruined it and be a better person. You know what I mean? Like, I have to accept, like, what I've done in the past. I can't change it. I can't change it at all, but I can make sure it doesn't happen again. You know? But, you know, like, I was just in and out of motel rooms. My mom, I couldn't stay at my mom's because I would end up stealing from her or coming home belligerent. My brother and sister were terrified of me, and I'm using with my older brother, and it was just, my life just completely went like spiraling downhill. Bad, man, bad. And they used to have the DARE guy come into the junior, or it was like elementary school, like the police officer that would come in, and like, for me, like, I wasn't a big fan of cops when I was getting high. I don't know if anybody can relate to that. But like, he would come in and he was like, just say no, kids. Like, I wish it was that easy, you know, like, just say no. Like, cool, bro. And they would like show us a picture of people on drugs. Like, if you end up doing drugs, if you do heroin or you do meth, you're gonna end up like this. It was a homeless guy with his beard down to here, you know, looking sad, depressed. And I swore, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this too, I swore when I was a kid I would never do drugs. I would never do drugs, I would never steal from my family, I'll never be homeless, I'd never be a bad person. Like, I said that stuff growing up, and it was crazy because I turned into that person. All those nevers, I did every single one of them. You know, it all came out, and you know, I had nowhere to go. But in like November of 2014, my mom came to me, his mom came to me, and my mom's crying. It's like, you know, if your mom's crying, it's like hard to say no. But you know, I was so comfortable again in the misery, like comfortable in the misery, that I had accepted the fact that I was going to die. You know, that I didn't want to go get help. And I didn't do it for me. I did it for my mom, and I did it for everybody else, that I could show them that Nick Morgan could get clean. But that wasn't enough. I wasn't doing it for me. So I went to a treatment center. I Googled treatment centers in South Florida. I don't know. Actually, I just Googled treatment center, and one popped up in South Florida. And I called it because it looked like they had this beautiful treatment center. And I had health insurance at the time, and they had a beautiful treatment center, and it looked like it was right on the ocean. The ocean was literally out back, and they had I called them. They said they had jet skis, and they said they had a horse named Trigger, and I'm like, wow, dude, I'm definitely going to this place. And it wasn't to get clean; it was for a vacation, So I go to this place, and I was going to show them that I could get clean, and I went to this place. I get there. There's no jet skis. There's no horse named Trigger, and the treatment center itself was on a canal that smelled like poop. So it was actually nothing like what was on the internet. So with that being said, if you end up Googling a treatment center, it says all this good stuff, I don't believe it. But so I get down there, and I'm like, wow, this is great. It's a hospital setting, and I remember going through detox and taking the detox medications and feeling super good, and then the detox medications were gone, and I felt bad. And then I was in this place for 60 days. I was in the residential part, and then I did the intensive outpatient with sober living, and they gave me these suggestions when I came in there. And they used to have H&I come in, which is hospitals and institutions. They bring meetings into places where people can't get out, like Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous. And they would come in and they would say the same thing: get a sponsor, work steps, be of service to other addicts. Get a sponsor, work steps, get a home group, be of service to other addicts. So I'm I don't need this stuff. And every time I was in a room or in a group or in a meeting with a bunch of other addicts, I was listening to them talk, and I'm not like these people. I would always look at the differences and not the similarities. I would pick out what's different about you and me and why we couldn't relate. Just because I wasn't the guy that stuck up an old lady at an ATM to get the next bag, I'm not an addict. That's not me. I'm not like you guys. Because it really doesn't matter, what you physically did to get the next one. I don't care about that stuff. You know what I mean? I don't care what your physical bottom was. I care about the fact that we can all relate to how we felt inside. That shame, guilt, fear, feeling like nothing, you're just existing, waiting for yourself to die. That's the type of stuff that I can relate to. That's what matters. And all those people that felt like that were doing the same thing. They got a sponsor, they got a home group, they started working steps, and most importantly, they were of service to other addicts. So they started doing that stuff, and I just didn't want a part of it. I'm I'm going to go home. I'm in South Florida, mind you, and home's where the heart is. Don't get me wrong. We're Marion's, great and everything, but it's South Florida, and I couldn't wait to get back to Marion. And I had every opportunity to get away from where I've been getting high. Like I said, I bring me with me everywhere I go. It doesn't matter if I move to California. If I'm not willing to put the work in to stay clean, I'm not going to stay clean. But it's a hell of a lot easier whenever you leave from where you've been getting high. It's a hell of a lot easier. So I had this opportunity, and I just couldn't wait to get home, and I'm just going to get back in the same great relationship that I was in before. The most toxic relationship, right, man? Most toxic relationship that I've been in, and it was mainly due to my issues. I don't want to put it all on her, but it was mainly due to my issues. So I got on the phone with her, and she doesn't know about recovery, man. She didn't know that I couldn't drink, or I got on the phone with her, and it was New Year's or something, and she's like, babe, does this mean we can't drink a bottle of wine when you come home? And I'm like, no, yeah, of course we can drink a bottle of wine, it's fine, But me, I don't know what moderation is. I have no idea what moderation is. For me, I'm speaking for myself. I've had every intention on going into a bar and having 2 beers and going home, right? Who's ever tried to do that? And so we go into the bar, I have the 2 beers, I drink the entire bar, I smoke crack, and then I'm fighting somebody outside. That's exactly how it goes. And I apologize for being graphic again, but that's what it is. That's exactly where my addiction goes, and quick. 0 to 100 real quick. And that's how it started for me. I started drinking at the Fort Lauderdale airport before I even left Florida. Because it's alcohol, right? You can buy it at the store, it's fine. And you know what? Some people can drink, and we say all the time in Narcotics Anonymous, our hats off to you. You know what I mean? But me, this addict, and the thousands of other addicts that I've helped get clean, we can't. Yep. We can't. So with that being said, I start drinking at Fort Lauderdale Airport. We fly. I get back to Southern Illinois. I have my buddy pick me up from the airport, and he's got like a blunt roll, and he's like, "Yo, bro, like you just got out of rehab, dude. Let's smoke this." Dude, I just pull you out here. You know, because I had no tools. I had no strength to say no, because I took absolutely none of those suggestions from the treatment center. And I still honestly hadn't even accepted the fact that I was an addict. You know, like I didn't accept that. I still thought that like you just went to treatment and you got out and you were a normal person again. It doesn't work like that. For this addict. You know, like I say it all the time, this is my story. You might be able to relate to it, you might not. If not, so be it. So like, for this addict, it went one fight with the girlfriend, one negative emotion, and she kicks me out. I end up fighting her stepdad that night. It just, like I said, in 2 weeks, I was back to square one. Back in a motel room, asking God, how did I end up here again? Because I had every intention on staying clean for other people, not for me. How did I get here, God? Why would you do this to me? Why, you know? But it was because I didn't take any of the suggestions, man. I didn't surround myself with other people that had been through like what I had been through. I got in a fight with my ex, I got negative emotions, I had no tools. So what was my tool? Drugs and alcohol. So I went, I'm in Marion Motel, great place. And you know, I'm in Marion Motel again. By the way, I'm flagged from there. I could never go back there. But now that I think about it, because it was dumb. Like I had left, when I went to treatment, I had left a pistol in between the mattresses. Not good, but I'm glad that I don't live here anymore. But, so I'm back at Marion Motel again, and I'm in the foxhole position in the bathroom. God, why? What do I do now? What do I do now? Because it's crazy, man, because I never wanted to acknowledge God whenever things were going good. You know, but whenever things got bad, it was like, God, please don't let me overdose. God, please don't let me get pulled over by this cop. You know what I mean? Like, God, what do I do now? I feel like I'm going to die. I want to cry out to God whenever things are bad, but I don't when they're good. I don't do that today. When things go good, you know, I try to start my day off by asking God for things, and I try to end my day with thanking God for things. You know? I feel good, man. I'm up here sweating. You know, but that's how my life is today. And you know, I never really acknowledged God. I was brought up in church. Again, man, like God and Jesus Christ are in my life. You know what I mean? Like that's my higher power today. And like I said, like if that offends you, I'm sorry, but this is my story, not yours today. Okay? But there's nothing wrong with it. You know, and you know what? Like there's nothing wrong with if your higher power is, you know, the ocean or the doorknob or like whatever it is. And I'm being serious. Like if that's what works for you, that's what works for you. You know what I mean? Like I think we're all trying to get to a point in life where our life is manageable and we're happy. And if that's what is helping your life be manageable and you're happy, that's what matters today. You know, like I'm not anybody to ever bash anyone. Social media, not in social media, talking behind people's backs, you know, because I've fallen a lot, you know, and I needed to help up. I did. And if it wasn't for those people that picked me up when I fell down, I would not be here today. You know, and I came back up here, like I said, things got bad. I looked down at my wrist and I had the bracelet from the treatment center that I went to on. And it's a great marketing technique from them. But you know, when I'm like crying out to God, I look down, it's like the 800 numbers on the treatment center wristband. So I'm like, oh man, like I should just go back to rehab. You know, like I said, great marketing technique. Because if that wristband wasn't there, I don't know what I would have done. But I took it as a sign from God. And I called him, and I was going to treatment this time for me. I was going for Nick. I was miserable, I wanted to die, and I saw that there was a solution. And the easiest thing for me to do to get out of my misery right then and there would have been to go to rehab. So I called for myself, which that usually doesn't happen a lot. Anytime that 80% of the time that I get a phone call from somebody that needs to go to treatment, it's either mom, dad, or girlfriend calling. It's never like that person, which, you know what, like whatever it is to start it, to get you in the door, to maybe start having you look at yourself, that's what it is. So I go back down to treatment, and you know, I was tired, man. Like I was gonna stay clean this time. You know, I was doing it for Nick. I was there. I was all gung ho, and I put together like 30 days, and I went to the treatment center, and I got to the intensive outpatient part, the sober living, and they kept giving me those suggestions again, man. It was weird. I kept hearing that get a sponsor, get a home group, work steps, and be of service to other addicts. And I'm like, you know, like I'll go to the meetings, you know. But honestly, I was just going to the meetings to be a straight predator on the women. And I mean, that's exactly what it was, you know, like I was sick. I was a sick puppy. And, you know, I went to the meetings, and then like they're like, get a sponsor. I'm like, dude, I'm not opening up to another man. Like it's like asking a girl on a date. Like I don't want to do that. And so I wasn't going to do that. And, you know, they said, be of service to other addicts. I'm like, no, man, like I got to take care of me, you know. And it didn't necessarily mean that I have to take everybody else's problems on. That's not what that meant. Being of service to another addict could be holding the door for somebody, giving somebody a hug, you know, like talking to somebody, conversating with somebody. It didn't have to be anything crazy. But I didn't want to do any of that stuff, man. And I met a girl in treatment. I say this all the time, and sometimes I feel bad because there's like a lot of people that are here every time I speak and hear me say this. But again, this is my story. But 2 dead batteries, don't start a car. You know, me and this girl were both dead batteries and had no juice. And we just thought that we were going to live happily ever after. Like we met each other in the detox line of treatment, you know, like waiting for our medication, our Suboxone to come down off the heroin, but we were going to live happily ever after. Yeah. You know? And everybody thinks that's a great idea, which, you know, in early recovery, we do want to feel love. You know, we want a female companion or a male companion, whatever it is. Like, we want to feel that, but like, we got issues, man. That's just us trying to cover up those issues that we have that we don't want to deal with. Right. You know, and I use this woman for everything that she had. She's the one that had money, and we're going to leave the treatment center because, you know, like we're going to live happily ever after, and we're going to move into a couple's halfway house. We really had stuff going for us. And we're going to move into a couple's halfway house, which any halfway house usually that takes couples is a complete mess. I don't know if anybody's ever been in one of those, but it's like you could have a reality show. It's great. And 90% of the couples that are in there came from the treatment center. So with that being said, we didn't even go to a couple's halfway house. We went to a motel room and we're getting high together. And we're getting high. And I just love her so much. Whenever she has money, we're getting high together. And then whenever the money was gone, I didn't love her so much, and I left, you know. And, you know, after like a week and a half, I'm running around with a bunch of hoodlums down in South Florida, just trying to find ways and means to get more, and in and out of flop houses. If anybody doesn't know what a flop house is, it's just a straight house for insurance scam, and they just let you sit there and go high be high as long as you go to your outpatient groups. And, you know, it was a big deal down in South Florida at the time. And I thought it was great. You know, I thought these guys were trying to help me. And I could not stop getting high, and I get a phone call about a week and a half later that she had passed away due to a heroin overdose. And that was like, it was heartbreaking, you know? Like, and I felt guilty, like I had something to do with it. Well, if I would have never like linked up with this girl in treatment, maybe she would have never died. You know, like ultimately it takes 2 to tango, I understand that, but like, even her decisions, man, like if you're one of those people that think it's a great idea to get into a relationship in early recovery, look, man, I've seen people do it and it works. But 90% of the time it doesn't work. You know, it just doesn't, man. We got issues that we need to figure out, and we need to focus on ourselves as much as possible. And so she passes away, and that's kind of like my kick in the butt. Like, Nick, you got to go to treatment. You got to get back into rehab. And I got kicked out of the flop house that I was staying at, so I'm like in South Florida, homeless for about 3 weeks, 2 pairs of clothes down to 1 pair of shoes. I still have those shoes today to remind me where I came from. They're Jordans that somebody gave to me that have holes in the bottom of them, and they're just, the toes are curled up from like walking so much. And, you know, I keep those, man, because I have to remember where I came from. I have to remember that pain. Yeah, I don't want to feel it again, but I have to remember how bad it gets when I get high, you know. So I try to call and get to a treatment center, and my dad had disenrolled me from my health insurance. So it was like super hard for me to get into a treatment center. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, once you don't have health insurance, like, nobody wants to really get you in very quick. And that's part of what I try to do whenever I travel, though, man. Like, any resource that I can get for anybody, insurance, no insurance, state insurance, Medicare, like whatever it is, like I try to get every single resource possible. So when I get these calls with people that don't have insurance or state insurance, because like 90% of the people I talk to have state insurance, like I want everybody to have an option, because there are options out there. There are resources. Sometimes you might have to travel up by Chicago or go to Kentucky or like whatever it is, man. Like there are resources. You know, there's resources for everybody. But with that being said, after 3 weeks, I get a phone call that I got a scholarship by a kid that I was in treatment with beforehand that was like actually like doing great and like working in a treatment center and not homeless. So he called me and said that he got me a scholarship, and that was by the grace of God, man. It saved my life. You know, I went from sleeping under a pier to, I didn't fight it when I went to detox, man. I had air conditioning and I had food and, you know, like I didn't fight it, man. At that point, I was so tired, like mentally, physically, emotionally tired. I put my hands up, man. I said, I don't know how to stay clean. I'm an addict. The most courageous thing that I have ever done in my entire life was put my hand up and said, I don't know how to stay clean. I'm an addict. You know what I mean? I accepted the fact that I had no clue how to stay clean. I tried over recovery, around recovery, below recovery, every which way that I felt like I could go to stay clean did not work. My best thinking winds me up almost dead in institutions and in fights and police officers. Like, that's where my thinking leads me to. I still have to live by today. My first thought is always wrong. It really is. It is. I have to run it by other people, you know. And thank God I got other people to run it by. But, you know, so I did whatever they asked me to do. If they would have told me to stand on my head and I would have stayed clean, I would have stood on my head. I was willing to go to any lengths to stay clean. I got a sponsor. They gave me those same suggestions again. Get a sponsor, work steps, get a home group, be of service to other addicts. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do all those things. As soon as I got out of the residential part, I went, I got a home group, I got a sponsor. I put my hand up. You know, I said, I'm an addict. And I remember that first time that I said, hey, my name's Nick and I'm an addict. And I like believed it. I actually believed it. And I started to listen for the similarities in the room rather than the differences. You know, and my life started to change, man. I still, every Monday night, my mom likes to call me every Monday when I'm sitting with my sponsorship family. And I sit down with my sponsorship family every Monday for the last 3.5 years, Mom. And I sit down, we eat, we do step work, and we go to a meeting. Every Monday night, if I'm in town, that's what I do. I have to do that for my recovery. I still go to 3 to 4, unless I'm on the road, I go to 3 to 4 Narcotics Anonymous meetings. I have to do that for my recovery. You know, being of service to other addicts is the most important thing in my life today. It is the most important thing, because like, I can't do this alone. I can't. I need you guys. You know, what we can't do alone, we can do together, and I live by that. You know, I want as many people involved